My wife couldn't recall the word wood and instead told me to tidy up the tree chunks. While we were gazing at the stunning night sky, my boyfriend remarked, "It's amazing how much we don't know about the universe. For example, where do the stars go during the daytime? Are they still there, or do they disappear somewhere?" He was completely serious. My oldest child was born in December 2004, which was also the year we discovered that London had secured the bid for the 2012 Olympics. It was announced that children born on the 20th of December would receive free entry to the games. But what if they're bad at sports? I had to clarify gently that the free entry was to watch the Olympics, not participate. I attempted making baked potatoes in the microwave for the first time and wrapped them in tinfoil. Someone came to me, puzzled, asking why the microwave was producing sparks and why it was overheating. She sincerely believed the Earth was entirely composed of water. She thought you could swim to the bottom of the ocean and emerge on the other side of the planet. It took a lot of effort to convince her otherwise, and honestly, I'm still not sure I succeeded. During a game night of Cranium at her brother's house, my then-girlfriend, now wife, was asked what event caused the US to join WW. History isn't her strong suit. It's probably her weakest subject, whereas I'm a huge history enthusiast. Her answer, the Boston Tea Party. I burst out laughing, as did everyone else. To this day, if she doesn't know an answer, I jokingly tell her to go with Boston Tea Party. What do you put in carrot cake to make it taste like carrots? Is it carrot zest? I've never let him live that one down. She genuinely thought Barack Obama's name was Black Obama. My ex-girlfriend once said taste bugs instead of taste buds while we were discussing changing taste preferences. When I corrected her, she was genuinely confused, as she had believed her entire life that the term was taste bugs. Back in high school, my girlfriend once said, "I just realized something. There isn't any state that starts with the letter F. We attended school in Florida." While driving, we passed a horse with its head leaning over a gate. We slowed down, and she rolled down the window and called out, "Mo!" Once, my significant other and I went for a walk in a local nature reserve. At the entrance, we were given a map to help us navigate. Later during the walk, while studying the map, she turned to me and said, "These maps really need a 'you are here' mark on them." It took me a second to process what she meant. I explained that handheld maps don't have such markers since they can't update dynamically. It took 4 or 5 attempts to make her understand. I own a fan with settings labeled L, M, and H to indicate the speed. She looked at it and told me she had set the fan to large. My husband and I were at Canadian Tire, where they had miniature versions of tents on display that looked like they were made for dolls, with the prices listed below. He turned to me, shocked, and asked, "Why are these tiny tents so expensive?" I couldn't stop laughing. When my boyfriend, now husband, and I were dating, we played a game of Cash Cab. For those unfamiliar, the game requires you to answer as many questions as possible in a short time, so speed is essential. I asked him, "What animal in Africa kills the most people annually?" Without hesitation, he shouted, "Ants!" I laughed so hard I cried. 11 years later, we still occasionally look at each other with wild eyes and yell, "Ants!" We were riding a bus during rush hour, surrounded by traffic. Being a car enthusiast, I spotted a pristine 1970s Mustang. Excitedly, I pointed and said, "Look, honey, a car." There were hundreds of cars around us. She hasn't let me forget it. When my wife and I started dating in the mid-1880s, she knew I was a huge fan of David Letterman. One day, she told me she had a big surprise and showed me tickets to see Letterman at a local venue. I was confused since I knew David Letterman didn't do tours. Looking closely, I saw the tickets were for the 1960s band, The Lettermen. We didn't end up going, but I married her anyway. 30 years together this September. I asked him to plant a sapling in the backyard. The next day, I noticed something looked off. Upon closer inspection, I realized it had been planted upside down. He had mistaken the roots for small, flimsy branches. I couldn't stop laughing for days. I had an ex who didn't know vacuum cleaners needed to be emptied. He thought the vacuum was broken because it was clogged with dust and no longer worked. What's worse is that I believed him, because it never occurred to me that someone might think vacuums magically made dirt vanish. I work at a school, and one Christmas a parent gifted me a candle. This parent was known for being very hippie-like. My boyfriend picked up the candle and commented, "Wow, what hipsters. They even got a candle made in Mexico. It says soy candle." The candle was actually made of soy wax. It didn't say "I am candle" in Spanish, much to his disappointment and my amusement. My ex-girlfriend from high school lived in a nearby town where the power went out. She called me, crying, saying she had a lot of homework to finish. I suggested she drive to my house since I still had electricity. She yelled at me, "How dare you ask me to drive? How am I supposed to do that when my headlights won't work?" Our relationship didn't last much longer. While on the phone trying to give her parents directions, she said, "We're behind the car that's in front of us." I couldn't hold in my laughter. When my wife gave birth to our oldest daughter, the doctor asked if I wanted to cut the umbilical cord. I replied, "Isn't that your job?" I had no idea it was something fathers were expected to do. I love my husband, but I once watched him empty a vacuum cleaner bag into a wire trash can. Meanwhile, I often forget simple words and end up saying things like, "The box you put stuff in to make it cold,"